Hey everyone. Today I'm going to be hold on. Hey everyone. Today I'm going to be tackling the topic of the MCU and why I think that it's racist and it doesn't give a shit about its fans. So I'm going to be using three things as examples for this. First of all is Black Panther, Into the Spider Verse, and the Falcon and Captain America like spinoff show. I don't really remember what the exact name was for that, but the first point I would like to make is with Black Panther and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So when Black Panther first came out, a lot of the critics that were criticizing Black Panther, a lot of their main gripes with Black Panther, aside from like the writing and Black Panther's sister being annoying, was the CGI and how the CGI was garbage. And at first, I was just like, whenever I was hearing about that, I'm just like, okay, not everything they make can be awesome. I was willing to cut them a little slack. But then Into the Spider Verse came out, and Into the Spider Verse only had 24 frames per second, which is kind of lazy for a company that is multi-million dollar company and it's super rich. So why? And a lot of people were saying that the 24 frames per second was a stylistic choice so that they could switch to 60 frames per second for the more action-oriented scenes. But here's the thing. I don't think that's the actual real reason because they've gone with cheaper options for both of the main movies that starred a black character, and I think I know why, because they knew a lot of black people were going to go see the movie, so they didn't have to try as hard. And I feel like that's pretty lazy and pretty scummy. And I don't really have any proof of this, and I haven't seen the new Wakanda Forever movie because I don't know why I'd want to see a Black Panther movie without Black Panther in it because the actor's dead. So I didn't go see that yet. I don't know if that has great CGI or not. My guess is going to be no, but not for the racism reason that I think the other ones didn't. I think that the CGI would be bad for that one because Marvel's talents are so split up between making Disney shows and making movies now that a lot of their CGI is going to be bad regardless. But I do think that for the original Black Panther, they skipped on the CGI budget because they knew people were going to see it anyway because it was Black Panther, and it was the first the black superhero inside of in film. And another reason I think the MCU is racist is they're taking characters that were originally white and they're turning them black. And I think that's racist to white people and black people, not only because they're taking symbols of white culture that have been around for a long time and they're making them black. I think that's not only lazy writing wise, but it's also disrespectful to characters that are famous in the comic book industry that are also black. Because what you're basically saying whenever you take a character that was previously white and you make them into a black character instead of choosing an already famous character that was black is you're saying that this character isn't valid unless he's banking off of an already white character's legacy. Because think about the Falcon. Like he only got a show whenever he became Captain America. They had Falcon in the MCU for a long ass time, and they didn't do shit with him. Not until he became Captain America, because Falcon's the original black character, but he's not valid until he's stealing from a white character. I feel like that's racist towards black people because a lot of the black characters in the MCU are actually pretty cool characters, like Luke Cage and the Falcon. I'm not super into Marvel, I'm more into DC, so those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head, and Hotspot. But I think that's pretty racist towards black people because you're not giving any attention to these original black characters because you're too busy stealing from the white characters because it's not valid if it's originally black. It has to be stealing from white characters to be valid. So it's racist to both parties, and I think it's lazy because you're not only stealing ideas, but I also think they don't give a shit about their fans because they're just shitting all over the legacy of the character whenever they do that. And for people making the argument that like it wouldn't be as famous unless they stole from a pre-existing character, I'd like to make the counter argument that for Iron Man, because Iron Man was not a super popular Marvel character until the movie came out. Like he was popular, don't get me wrong, but he was not very popular because the most popular people in comics at the time that Iron Man came out were the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers were also popular, but Iron Man was like a B-lister at the time. And once they made a movie about him, everyone knew Iron Man. And Iron Man was a massive success. You see, once they make a movie out of someone, they become a household name. So they could have done the exact same thing with Luke Cage or any other black superhero, but instead they decide to steal. Like they didn't have to go with Iron Man for their very first movie, but they went with someone less popular because it was a good concept that they could have evolved into something. They could have done the exact same thing with any other character. And to make the argument that the black characters wouldn't have been as popular if they weren't banking off the white characters is insulting. Not only to the writers that made those black characters, but because I personally think that the storytelling is what really matters here, because comic books is already a niche medium, so anything you're taking from there as a lot, like, it's already like not like everyone kind of knows about them, but it's not a super big part of the culture in the first place. Like, it wasn't a super big part of our culture until the movie started coming out anyway. So people that aren't fans of comic books aren't going to know about most of these people anyway. I sure as hell didn't know about Ant-Man until that movie came out, or the Guardians of the Galaxy, or any of these like fuckers. But like, I feel like that's a really dumb argument, because the stories behind these characters are still good when you take them apart from like being in a movie. Like, I've read some stories with black main characters that were really good, and the fact that they're just not using them because they want to bank off of their pre-existing, they just want brownie points. That's all it is. Like, yeah, that video cut off for some reason, but yeah, basically that's the reasons I think that the MCU is racist, with their scumminess involving putting less budget into characters that are black. The main character is black, and their scumminess whenever it comes to lazy writing and not producing originally black characters in favor of taking from pre-existing white characters. For me personally, noticing like racist things that were happening was always kind of difficult, because a lot of my black friends would always like call things racist whenever it was like not even a big deal. So like it kind of took validity away from whenever they said things were actually racist, they're racist, because I'm just like, oh, you're just bullshitting again. And it makes it hard, because I do want to speak out about injustice when I see it, but this is just something I noticed whenever I started thinking about like Marvel and the quality of their stuff whenever it comes to black main characters in their things. So yeah, that's why I think Marvel is racist.